is nuts.
Shooting sports are becoming more and more popular, and for good reason. Here at T.REX, we very much enjoy shooting sports. We think they're very important, and the main reason why we think that is because they maintain your relevancy or give you relevancy. So someone like me, who was in the military for a number of years, I have experience to back myself up on, but that was yesterday. So how do I stay relevant today? In my opinion, the best way to do that is to compete. Now, you guys are probably aware of shooting sports like USPSA, or PRS, so shooting specific, you know, one USPSA being around pistol, PRS being around precision rifle, but something that's new and upcoming the last few years has been the tactical games, and that's exactly what we're talking about today. So what is the tactical games? The tactical games is a shooting sport just like USPSA or PRS, but it brings something that's a little bit unique to the table, and that is you are competing not only in shooting but also in fitness. So the scoring between the two is weighed equally. So for example, you'll get points for every round you shoot, for every hit with the round you shoot, and also every rep of an exercise you do. That's just one example. And then you also have stages that are specifically fitness only, and then two-gun stages that are shooting only. Now, the value that we see in the tactical game specifically with maintaining relevancy is the ability to test your marksmanship. Now, obviously you can do that in PRS and USPSA, but also be able to assess your marksmanship while under duress, and also be able to specifically assess your functional fitness levels. And that's exactly what tactical games does. It's kind of CrossFit, but not so much with barbells and stuff like that, but sandbags, just odd items and odd things to maneuver around to really assess, again, your functional fitness. So here at T.REX, we are sponsoring the tactical games. We are competing in the tactical games this year. So that's exactly what we're going to talk about. And we're going to talk about the event we already did in Texas. So that was a team event that Michael and I did. This upcoming weekend, we're flying out to Idaho, where I'm competing by myself. And then in June, Lucas is going to be competing in the Sniper Challenge, which is a little, not so much fitness, but more of a shooting competition specifically. So let's talk about how the Texas event went. So Texas was a team event, so Michael and I went out there. However, after the fourth stage, Michael got hurt, or during the fourth stage, Michael got hurt. So the scoring that we got was just a little bit weird because we were in the tactical division, and the only solo division was intermediate. So tactical division has heavier weights, they do different movements, sometimes different distances. So I couldn't be scored as a solo because I was doing tactical things basically. So after Michael got hurt, I started doing everything as a solo, but I was using tactical weights. That was to keep us in the tactical team division. We are obviously not gonna be competitive. So the reason why we weren't gonna be able to be competitive with me competing solo is because as teams would get double the rounds on stages, so they can get double the points, and the same thing for the exercises, they can do double the amount of work. Now, the opposite was for the two-gun stages. So the stages were set up for neutralize only, so all you had to do is engage the targets, neutralize them as fast as possible, so it didn't matter how many rounds you shot, one of the stages didn't matter how many misses you got, it was just complete as fast as possible, and as an individual, you had half the round, so the individuals had the advantage when you were comparing against match overall. So things were just weird, to say the least. Now, when I shot the first two-gun stage, or shooting only stage, I shot it with Michael, so we had no issues there when it was in relation to competing against the team. But the second one, I shot all of Michael's rounds. So I did the shooting by myself, not as an individual, but as a team, just by myself. So I shot double the rounds as an individual would, basically. So again, the scoring was just weird, to say the least. But overall, I placed 10th out of 40 teams in the intermediate team division. So I got moved from tactical team to intermediate solo. And just a note on that, the reason why I got moved out of there is because of the scoring was so messed up. I think I won intermediate solo if I did my math right, if I took away Michael's penalties on the first shooting stage that we're in. So I think that's why I got moved out, just because it would have been weird if I did win and with all of the scoring differences. But as an intermediate team, I competed against teams basically by myself in the intermediate division, which is the lowest division under tactical, and I placed 10th out of 40th by myself, and that was including the stage that Michael got hurt on, which we almost finished last on. So let's talk about the stages individually. So as you guys are gonna see as I talk this, I had a GoPro on, and I'm just going to briefly explain the stages and how they went and what I could have done better. So the first stage we did was actually stage 3. It was called a hill to die on. This was actually the worst stage by far. It definitely required the most stage planning, and we didn't stage plan properly at all. We just kind of went after it. That didn't work. And we definitely paid for it. So there was definitely teams that I would say we were in better shape than. We could move a little bit faster than. I think we were better prepared for it, but they stage planned a lot better, and they were actually able to complete the stage under the part time, which we were not able to. So we finished actually middle of the pack on this because our shooting wasn't all too bad. So the pistol shooting was a red dot torture, so you're shooting like, I think it was 1/2-inch boxes at 10 meters. And then the rifle shooting is one of their weird rifle shooting things where it's just random shapes at between 100 to 200 meters. So next stage after that was the first shooting only stage, and it was called Geronimo. So this was rifle only. It was a long distance stage. We had 60 meters, 230 meters, and 330 meters, if I remember correctly, the 3 distances. And the way it worked is each team member, starting at the 60 meter on the far left, had to hit both targets before you can move to the next target. So we would start on the left side at 60. Both had to hit it before we can go to the right one. Michael had a couple malfunctions, or had a malfunction here, and we actually did pretty well overall. So every miss did incur penalties. So it was actually really, really important to have precise shots here. I cleaned it. I didn't have any misses. Michael had a couple. So we didn't have the best score, but we did okay. Now, immediately following that, we went on to the distance run, which was a little over 3 miles, and you ran that with all of your kit and whatever ammo you had left from the Geronimo stage. So you could have shot as many rounds as you wanted on the Geronimo stage, but whatever ammo you had with you left over, you had to take on that run. So ideally, obviously good stage planning was make sure you're confident with your gun, have minimal rounds so you didn't have to bring that extra weight with you. So we did okay on the run. I finished the run, if I had to remember correctly, around a 35-minute pace or something like that. Michael was about 9, 10, or 11 minutes behind me. So we got his time as our score, and even when I got scored as an individual, again, I got his time. So if I had my time, probably would have definitely placed higher than 10th. If I removed his shooting penalties from mine, definitely would have placed higher than 10th overall in the intermediate team division. But all that to say, the run was miserable. We had some cool views, but the terrain was just brutal. I wear flat foot shoes with no padding. I'm just a minimalist shoe guy, and running on some of those rocks just kind of sucked, to say the least. The next stage that we did on day 1 was called Stagecoach. Now this was the stage that Michael got hurt on, and obviously our score on this just tanked. We actually started off really well. So you had the option of doing a rope climb or burpees over a 4-foot bar. So every rope climb, you need to do 5 burpees. Obviously the penalty here is not that you doing the burpees instead of the rope climb, it's just the burpees take longer. But Michael and I had a good strategy of basically as I went over the bar and went down, he would start going and we could just rotate. This kept our heart rate down pretty low. But like I said, he got hurt on the next part, which is 330-pound farmer carries between the two of us. Now the reason why we didn't do the rope climb is Michael and I haven't practiced on a rope in years. Michael, it's been over 10 years. For me, it's been probably 4 to 6 years. And it was also raining. It started to rain, so grip just wasn't as good on the rope, and we just didn't want to try and figure out the rope again in the rain with extra weight on. It's not worth getting hurt over, guys. All that to say, I have an elbow injury. I have a fracture in my elbow. I have 6 torn ligaments between my wrist and my elbow, so I don't like pulling this way either way, even if we could do the rope. So we're gonna do the burpees if we can, basically is all I'm saying. So as soon as we picked up the bar, that's where Michael got hurt. He has a surgery on his left arm, I believe, from the service. And basically when we picked up the weight, it just kind of stretched everything out. So I tried to do the weights myself. It just didn't really work out that well. 330 pounds by yourself is pretty difficult. So we carried 1 bar at a time. And then the burpees, Michael couldn't put any pressure on his wrist either right away, so ended up doing the burpees. Our shooting actually was really good on the stage. So our hits actually made us not at the bottom of the pack. We were, bottom 3rd or bottom 4th, but at least we weren't last place despite Michael getting hurt. So the big thing to know from that stage is I need to practice rope climbs. I just need to get on a rope and get familiar with it again. It's not that I don't have the upper body strength to do rope climbs. I've always been able to do 25 to 30 pull-ups, dead hang as Marine Corps style pull-ups. So upper body strength, being able to move my body weight's not the issue. It's just the technique of the rope that I just kind of lost over the years. The next stage was the first stage I did by myself, and that was Longhorn. I absolutely demolished this stage. So this was sandbags over the bar. I believe the bar is 4 or 4.5 feet tall. It was a 100 or 125 pound sandbag. This is one exercise that I got to practice here at T.REX. We have the sandbags, we have the exact same yoke rack, and I crushed it. So I did a ton of extra reps, I believe 40 extra sandbag reps, and I actually did really, really well on this stage. So my shooting was pretty good. I only dropped 7 rounds. And since I was competing against teams, we had 2 rifle targets, one at 100 meters or so and one at 200 or so. You got double the points for the 200 meter target rather than the 100. They're both the same size target. So I obviously went for the 200, kind of risking it for the biscuit, trying to get those some of those points back. And I only dropped 7 out of the 30 rounds, which I'm very happy with considering it was raining. And that is a point I'm going to bring up in equipment eventually, and that is keep your lenses covered because I could not see through the rain even with a good optic. Moving on to day 2, again, by myself. So started the day with dysentery. So this was a dead hang from a fat yoke bar in full kit with your rifle. And while you're hanging for up to a minute, your partner is getting max calories on an air bike. So as an individual, the dead hang didn't matter at all for me. So I was just doing max calories on the bike. And I actually came in last place on this stage. So I don't know if it was just because it was first thing in the morning, if I wasn't warmed up, if I wasn't prepared, whatever the case may be, I was just not getting the calories on the bike that other people were getting. The other thing to this is teams could get double the calories than I could have because they had 4 rounds on the bike comparatively to just the 2 that I got. But either way, I wasn't going to do well. I just have not done enough air bike to say the least. Not that I have weak legs, as you guys are going to see in the training day. I'm going to demonstrate a leg day. I just sucked, to say the least. The next stage after that was called Hammer, and this was the 2-gun stage. So this was just basically hop out of a Humvee, draw your pistol out of your holster, load it, and then shoot all the targets. Like I said before, on this stage, if you're an individual, you only had to shoot half the targets that I did. So you only had to shoot 4 of the USPSA targets and all of the pistol steel once, and then you move over to the rifle steel, and then you only had to shoot those rifle steels once. I had to shoot all of the USPSA targets, the pistol targets twice, and then all the rifle targets twice. With that being said, only one person beat me match overall, and he was an individual, and he only beat me by 2 seconds, so he shot half the rounds. So if I only shot half the rounds, I would have won that stage by a country mile, and that definitely would have, again, propelled me forward in the rankings. The final stage was the annexation of Puerto Rico. I actually really love the names of these stages. So the long run stage is called an ostrich, a giraffe, and a capybara walk into a bar. I just love the stage names. I just think they're funny. Anyways, so annexation of Puerto Rico was a 3-part stage. Apparently Tactical Games does a long stage like this every event. So it's just a lot of work done in a very long amount of time, and it's just kind of like a burnout stage. So you started with stress carries with 150-pound sandbag, if I remember correctly, maybe 125. And then every down and back that a team did, each person would accumulate a point. As an individual, I only got 1 point, so I can only get half the points. And then you'd get to shoot your rounds with rifle and pistol. Again, I only got to shoot half the rounds. So after we did that, after you shot all your rounds, you could walk the sandbag back and forth to get more bonus points. So I did a couple rounds of that. And then afterwards, you got a 2-minute break. Now in that 2 minutes, you had to walk over to basically the sideline, drop your belt, your rifle, and then load up your weights. That weight took a lot of time to load up. As an individual, it took me about 3 minutes, and I was actually moving pretty quickly. I knew exactly where I wanted the weight to go. So I had a disadvantage there. And again, every down and back as an individual got me half the points as a team. So this stage, it just wasn't going to be competitive on. It just wasn't possible. Then after that, once you were done with that, you had max shuttle runs for, I don't remember the exact time, for the remainder of the stage. So got another 2-minute break. And on this stage, at this point, on this part of the stage, my legs started to cramp up pretty bad. And I already knew I wasn't gonna be competitive, so I just didn't really push through the cramps all that much. If I known how well I was actually doing on this stage, because of how many reps I did comparatively, at least compared to individuals, I would have pushed through the cramps. And the issue was when I was stopping on the run, on the shuttle run, they cramped up, so I could have just kind of made a circle out of it, and I probably would have been fine. But I just knew I wasn't gonna be competitive, so I just didn't push it all that hard. So that's how Texas went. I had a ton of fun. The Tactical Games is definitely the most fun competing that I've done. I've been shooting USPSA for the beginning part of this year. The Tactical Games has just taken the cake for me. I love fitness, I love shooting. I love the type of shooting that Tactical Games is, and I love the type of fitness that you get assessed in or compete in. So next what we're gonna do is we're gonna go through a training day in preparation for the Idaho game. So the way it's gonna look is we're gonna do a lifting session in the morning, trying to go over the strength conditioning part of preparing for Tactical Games. Then we're gonna go to the range, do some metabolic conditioning, and do some shooting, and then do a mock stage. Now, real quick, before we get to that, I'm just gonna go over the kit real quick. So if you want a full breakdown of this kit, we're gonna have a video on the Armory YouTube channel going over all of this stuff in very good detail. Real quick, because I know you guys are gonna be curious about what I got going on here. So This is a 13.9 Criterion core that's pinned with a Leupold Mark 6 and an offset Delta Point Pro. So again, this gun is set up for tactical games. And then for my speed belt, got a T.REX ARMS speed belt. Got 2 STEC pouches for each. So 2 for pistol, 2 for rifle. I have my personal Glock 17 with an SRO and a shield on it. And this Ragnarok holster is just cut away a little bit. It's just something we're trying out with a clamp on it. So you do need some positive retention on a holster so I can just lock this gun down when I'm using it and it's not coming out. That's all that is. And then I have a dump pouch for water bottles basically, and then a pouch for a rangefinder and a kestrel, but that's really just for the range, not for competing. Now the plate carrier itself, AC1 obviously. I like T.REX ARMS, believe it or not. And it's just a slick carrier, guys. There's nothing fancy going on here. I have Jacked Rabbit 7-pound plates in here. The carriers need to be 15 pounds total. So 7 pounds gives you 14, and plus the nylon of the carrier gives me 15. And I bring a shingle with me in case I need it. But that's the kit, guys. So up next, let's get into the training day. So we are in my humble abode, the gym in my house. It's a little closet gym, kind of small. But we are starting the training day for tactical games here, doing strength training in the morning. So it is Wednesday. The competition in Idaho starts on Saturday. So we're just a couple days out. So what that means is I am not going to be training very extensively strength because I just don't want to be sore. So for strength today, this is kind of my leg day. So we're just going up to 4 or 5, doing some singles. This is about 85% of my 1 rep. So this is more of a download day. But all I want to do is just get some weight on my back. And remember, I'm a power lifter at heart, so I'm not changing my strength training all that much towards tactical games. I do change a little bit here and there, but for the most part, I'm still gonna focus on the big 3, big 4 if you count overhead military press. So for strength training in particular, what you wanna focus on for tactical games is gonna be lower body strength, so deadlifts, getting things off the ground, explosive movements like clean and jerks. Front squats and lunges are definitely be more beneficial than back squats. However, back squats are obviously going to get you strong legs, so they definitely work, and like I said, I'm not gonna change all that much. And then you wanna work on overhead strength and grip, so, and pulling. So there's a lot of farmer's carries and then shooting with fatigue grip. There's a lot of climbing ropes with fatigue grip, and there's a lot of walking with overhead while holding. So focusing on that stuff is definitely going to be what you need to focus on for tactical games. Now, Jacob Hepner has a strength training program for the tactical games. I have that. It's fantastic. I'm pulling some of it, but like I said, I'm not changing my strength training all that much. I'm using that program more for my metabolic conditioning for the second workout, which we're going to do later on today. So after we get done with this, we're going to go to the range so long the weather holds up. We're going to do a metabolic conditioning workout. We're going to shoot, and then we're also going to do a mock stage. So the other note with this is with my strength training, I am also dry firing. So I know that's going to upset people, but you know, I'm a father. I work 9 hours a day, so setting time aside to work out twice a day and dry fire is just pretty hard. So generally in between sets, I'm going to dry fire, and that's what we kind of got set up here. So for tactical games dry fire, just really focus on draw with the pistol and single hand trigger pulls, and then with the rifle, it's just basic weapons handling manipulation. If I had a barricade in here I could dry fire off of, that's what I do, but obviously I don't. This is the gym. So we're gonna finish this workout. We're at the top of the pyramid, so we're gonna hit 4 or 5 again, go back down, and then work on some explosive stuff. So our last training day out on the range, what we're gonna do is we're gonna confirm 0 on the gun, make sure our data is good on the gun. So I do have a dope card built, so we're just gonna confirm that. So shoot at 50 meters with our LPVO and our Canon red dot, then we'll go out to 170 meters, which is what my kestrel is saying my 0 is. Confirm there. And then after that, we're gonna start training a little bit. So we're gonna do a strip run. So basically every half mile, I'm going to drop a piece of kit until I'm slick. It's gonna be about 2 miles. And then after that, we're gonna go do some shooting. The shooting's gonna be very, very basic. We're just gonna do basically go stop. So just to break some rust off, do a little bit of shooting and moving. And then we're gonna finish the day off with a mock stage. And I'll explain that before we do it. But weather's rolling in, so we're gonna try and get through this. If we can't get through all of it, we're gonna at least confirm 0 on our guns and then do the mock stage at a minimum, but we're gonna try and get all 4 of those things done. So let's go confirm 0. The guns are good to go. It's about as good as they can be. So now we're gonna do that strip run. The reason why we're doing this is because there's always a long distance run in the tactical games. It's always part of an event or even an event in itself. So the time you run is gonna be your score. In some way, they're gonna score it somehow. So that being said, distance run's important. I quit running when I got out of the Marine Corps. I used to be an 18-minute 5K runner. Used to be able to run around a 9-minute pace with a 45-pound ruck and a rifle for my ruck runs. That's not me anymore. So we're trying to get back some of our speed. So we're just gonna try and keep it at a tempo, nice and easy. We're not gonna push it because again, the games are in just a couple days. So that's kind of the point of the strip run. So we're gonna run, drop kit, and just try and maintain the same pace over about a 2-mile distance. So let's get to it. So sorry about that. We had some camera technical difficulties, so I didn't catch most of the run. It just got me taken off, I think. But I only did a mile of the run. The temperature shot up about 25 degrees since we got here. So according to the Garmin app, it's 99 degrees with the sun out. Now the clouds are about to roll in and cool it down quite a bit. But we're a couple days out. I'm not trying to push it. So ran a mile just under 8:50 or so. So just that nice tempo pace. We're just trying to stay moving before the match starts. But now what we're gonna do is we're gonna load some mags up, get into that skill isolation of shooting. So this is gonna be a little bit different than what you're used to seeing us do on the range. So I am gonna shoot and move a little bit, but majority of this is gonna be some tactical game specific shooting. So shooting support hand only, strong hand only, and I'm just gonna be really working on offset red dot with the rifle because I haven't done much of that quite yet with this setup. So let's load some mags and get to it. Last thing we're gonna do today is the mock stage. So we have 2 firing lines. We have one at the 50 for rifle. We have one at the 10 for pistol. So at the 50 with rifle, we have 2 barricades. We're gonna do 2 positions on each. And at the pistol, it's just standing free hand, but we can only shoot strong hand and support hand. So we're gonna do 4 rounds. So that means I get to shoot 4 mags through my rifle and 4 mags through the pistol, 12 rounds each mag. And we have 4 targets on the USPSA target. They are just pieces of paper folded twice, so a quarter of a piece of paper put on there. So each round, I shoot all 12 rounds for my rifle at one of the boxes, and then I shoot all 12 rounds of my pistol into one of the boxes on the pistol target. So the work that we do is 10 meters away from the firing line, I have a 100-pound sandbag. I have to pick this up, stress carry it to 20 meters, and then I drop the bag on the other side of a stick, and then I gotta run up 10 more meters. I load my pistol, then I shoot my pistol, and then I come back to the rifle, but I have to carry the sandbag with me on the way back. So we have a 20-meter stress carry. We're gonna do this 7 or 8 times. If I did the math right, so it's like 160 meters of carrying this 100-pound sandbag, plus the shooting. So the way the score is gonna work is we have a time cap of 8 minutes. So if I can get all this work done in 8 minutes, there is a bonus mag at each firing line. So if I can get to that 5th mag for each, it's 12 more rounds in each, and I'm gonna shoot at the head box for additional points. Now, for scoring, we take the raw time, and every miss that I have on paper, let's just add 10 seconds. So basically, the best score I can get is all hits as fast as possible, and then my bonus points, we'll just do, we'll minus time. So if I get bonus points, we'll just cut time off with the points. So we'll just subtract in seconds. So let's get to it. So total time was a 7:42, and that's with the bonus rounds being shot, so 5 mags of each. That time was actually probably a little too easy for this, and these targets are a little too big for rifle, I would say. I was able to blast these pretty quickly. So I only dropped 1, 2, 3 rifle shots. So I have a total of 462 seconds. So I'll add 30 to that. And then I only missed 2 of the 12 headshots. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So we'll minus 100 seconds for those bonus points. Now come over to the pistol target. Not nearly as good. So let's see, we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So dropped 5 here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So drop 3. So we're at 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So we're at 11 now. And then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 3. So 14. So got to add 140 seconds to our time. So we're at 532 seconds. We got 1, 2, 3 headshots, so minus 30. So my bonus points didn't help me out all that much. I'm at 502, so divide that by 60. Sorry, I'm gonna do the math real quick.
A few moments later.
So my raw time was 7 minutes and 22 seconds. That's with the bonus shot. So my bonus points actually just kind of made up for my missed shots on my pistol guy. So you wanna go ahead and give this workout a try. It's probably a little easy. Probably should make the time restraint or time cap 6 or 7 minutes, or add some sandbag to shoulders. But there we have it, guys. Training day, our last training day before we go out to Idaho is complete. So next up, Idaho. So we're in Idaho, finally got here. Yesterday we did the tune-up. Tune-up is really good for the guys that are new shooters. It's gonna be really helpful for you guys. It's also pretty good for people that are seasoned shooters coming to tactical games. You get a taste of what the shooting is gonna be like for the sport. Big thing is you get to confirm your zero in this area. So being in Idaho, 5,100 feet elevation comparatively to Tennessee, with difference in humidity and stuff, my zero was off, and someone accidentally bumped my gun, knocked my zero off, so I had to re-zero completely anyways. My dope card's completely off. But anyways, tune-up's really good, especially for just confirming your gun. Now it's day 1 on the match. My first stage is at 7 a.m., which is in about 20 minutes, so we're about to get after it. So we got our booth set up, we got a bunch of other stuff going on out here. So after each stage, we'll talk about it, and you get to see me basically die throughout the day. Yep. Well, just finished the first stage about an hour and a half ago. I needed a minute. This is called Stage K. It's a sled sprint, essentially. It's pretty brutal. I punted this stage, did not do well at all. The time wasn't too bad comparatively to other people, but my shooting really sucked. So we're gonna have to pick it up the next couple stages to be competitive. Next stage is just the 4-mile run, just play care. So see how we do. I just heard that one of the elite women finished it in 32 minutes. So there's some straight up studs out here.
3, 2, 1, go!
All right, so finished the second stage of the day. It was the 4-mile run. Kind of sucked. I ran a 38:20, so I don't know what that pace is, like a 9:40 pace. The fastest runner in tactical ran a 31 something, which is a little ridiculous. So it went a little bit better than the first stage. The first stage could not get the sandbags to stay on the sled. That definitely cost me. Shooting wasn't all that great, but I think we're middle of the pack with the running. There's definitely some people like pushing past an hour, so we're gonna keep pushing. Definitely need to make up some ground on the next 2 stages. All right, so we just got done the 3rd stage of the day. That was everything's fine, it's okay, something like that. Got one of the rope climbs done. That's definitely a physical limitation of mine with my elbow right now, but that was brutal. I got some straight up studs in my squad. I came in last in my squad, but I shot 2nd best, so I think we're gonna even out. So my shooting was pretty good. My last rifle mag kind of sucked. That farmer carry, if you're wondering, is 135 pounds, so with kit in that farmer carry, that is my body weight. So that kind of sucks. I don't know if I could have done anything else better there other than just farmer carry a little bit longer. Other than that, like I said, I have a physical limitation for rope, so I'm actually happy I got one. Next is, as you can see, we got this dude carrying a sandbag. That's next. That's the last stage of the day. I got about an hour and a half. That looks brutal. I am not looking forward to that. So rest up, get a snack, and we'll get back to it. So that was get over it, and I did not just get over it. That was really rough. Majority of people are not finishing that one. I only saw one person in our squad finish. For some reason, I think I lost 0 on my pistol on one of the climb overs because my last pistol mag, all of my rounds from that mag were off paper. So I either lost 0, or when I was driving the gun in the barricade, I was inducing something with the barrel, pushing it off, but I didn't have that issue with the first 2 mags. And then the last stage, apparently I was doing it wrong, so they made me restart that one, which is super frustrating because I would have finished the work, probably could have blazed through the rounds and at least got everything done in under time. So that was my overall goal for this, was to just complete everything under the time cap, and unfortunately that didn't happen. So we can get some good food, rest, come back out here, and get slated again tomorrow. Day 2. So as it sits right now, I am 10th out of 22 in the tactical division. So before the last stage, I was 4th. So I was actually not doing as bad as I thought, but that mishap or miscommunication, whatever you want to call it, with the sandbag stress carry cost me 6 positions. I would have definitely had plenty of time to finish at least the work. Would have cut out a lot of penalties, but it is what it is. So first today is the 2-gun stage. So what I wanted to do, or my goal for this match, was to complete everything under time. Obviously, I didn't do that with the sandbag stage, but also win the 2-gun stage match overall. So I know Hepner's out here, so it's going to be a little bit of a challenge, but we're going to give it our best shot. So hopefully we can come away with a stage win at least in the tactical division, but hopefully match overall stage win for the 2-gun stage.
Stand by.
What was that?
5-2.
Is that the fastest yet or what? Started the day with the 2-gun stage. This was the stage I really needed to make ground up on. I think I did okay. I didn't shoot the best. Definitely could have cleaned that up a little bit, but it sounds like I'm probably 15 to 20 seconds faster than the majority of people. So this is definitely gonna help me close that gap that I created in the first day. So we'll see how we do. Definitely could have cleaned it up though. So I really need to put out on the next stage for me to, again, close that gap.
Sidewalk. That's one click. 3, 2, 1, go!
A little too far, huh? All right, so I got Nick here, kind of the founder, starter of the tactical games. I just finished one of the last stages, so I'm out of breath, so Nick, you take it.
Yeah, so Brandon had asked about the growth of the tactical games, and it's really contributed to, I mean, we have something cool going on out here. A lot of people want to get interested in doing something that's outside of their capabilities right now, have something to train for, have something to get after every single day, so it gives them motivation. And a lot of that's about awareness too, so having great sponsors like T.REX, like Nightforce, elevating our brand and creating awareness for people that aren't already in the sport or aren't in the fitness industry. So obviously I think the country's found a newfound desire to go out and get fit and to try to like really find an emphasis behind health and wellness and also shooting sports, right? Yeah. Like it's a cool opportunity to come out here and meet people that are interested in the same things, that like shooting, like getting better at shooting, that like getting more fit. So that's really what it's about.
Yeah, for sure. Oh, thanks, Nick. I got to go judge the next lane, and then right after that, I'll debrief how that stage went. Thanks, Nick. All right, so we just finished the long stage. It's 27 minutes with a 2-minute break after that first part. I did okay. So I had 130 bonus points. That's all of the exercises after the shooting. So basically all of those sandbag drags, sandbags over, every shuttle run pace, that's a bonus point. So I got 130 total. I don't know how competitive that is. It sounds like it's pretty good. Now my shooting wasn't that great. So I actually loaded one less round per magazine than I was supposed to. It's supposed to have 12 each. I had 11. So I mean, in total, that's only 8 points. I did get a couple extra sandbags over because I had that extra time. So probably dropped like 4 points because of that. I don't think it's really gonna make a difference if I'm competitive or not on that stage. So last stage is burpees and bullets. We kind of did a mock stage of this when Nick and Jacob came out to T.REX about a year ago. This is the stage I'm actually most excited for because there's like 3 things I'm good at in life and burpees is one of them. So hopefully I got the energy left. Hopefully I don't cramp up and I can actually put out on this last stage. As of right now, so after the 2-gun stage, I'm in 6th in tactical. So I won that stage overall for tactical. I don't know how I'm gonna place in there. So we'll keep you updated on the placement as the day goes, but I got 1 stage left and then we get to do the award ceremony. Bro. All right, finished the last stage. This is the burpees one, definitely the one I was most comfortable with, and I did pretty well. So I did 70 burpees in the 12 minutes plus 60 round shot. However, mistakes got me again, shot the wrong target for the first string, so 10 of my rifle rounds just misses. So if I would have got those 10 hits on my target, I would have won the stage for my division. So behind 2, maybe 3 people. So if I had to estimate how I'm gonna overall finish, I think I'm gonna be 5th or 6th if I had to guess. So if I get top 5, I'll be pretty lucky. But again, mistakes cost me overall. So we'll see how we do when the ceremony time comes around. All right, so we're back in Tennessee. Obviously, it's been a couple days since we've returned, and I am still very, very sore. That day 1 on Saturday was brutal. And then doing the sandbag throws, I am just sore in places I've never been sore. So that actually brings me to my first point about tactical games, and that is, it is very, very difficult. So if you are looking to get into the tactical games, if you just think you're going to just roll right into the games, you're gonna have a hard time. So when I was looking at the scores overall from people that kind of prepared to people that didn't, there's a pretty big score difference. So there's people scoring literally in the 10s and 20% of or percentile of first place at 100%, and then you kind of had that group of people that was within 15 to 20% of each other, and then again a huge gap after that. So just keep that in mind if you're thinking about doing the tactical game. So you may be wondering how I placed. Obviously I wasn't on the podium. So I placed 6th overall out of 24 in the tactical division, and then match overall I placed 28th out of, I believe, about 170, and that's including some teams, so it's about 200 to 210 people. So what could I have done better during this match? Honestly, it was my shooting actually. So my fitness actually kind of outpaced my shooting. I was staying pretty competitive amongst the higher competitors with times. Now if you're watching some of the other guys in my squads kind of run away from me. That was because 4 of the top 6 competitors were in my squad. So definitely the heavy hitters were in my squad, and honestly, probably a couple of them probably could have bumped up to the elite division. The top 2 kind of separated themselves from the rest of us. But that being said, it was my shooting. So even if my fitness was just comparable to them, even if I was just fitting right at the par times and I just had better hits, I would have placed top 3 easy day. So I honestly probably had about 60% hits and 40% misses, and that's a lot of penalties, and that's not going to win you any matches in tactical games. So first and foremost, get better at shooting. And what does get better at shooting it mean for tactical games? It's get better at positional shooting under duress. So shooting off weird barricades, shooting off that tank trap, shooting just with a high elevated heart rate is what makes the difference. So tactical game shooting is very, very different than what you're used to seeing us do on camera here at T.REX, or what you may be used to training for USPSA or even PRS. These targets are very odd shaped. They're small, they're angled in weird locations. They like to set up ranges into the sun. They're trying to make things difficult and awkward for you, things that you can't practice regularly on the range, and that's something I actually really appreciate. So the big thing that you can practice is dry fire on barricades when you're actually exercising. So whether you're just doing a bike workout, you're doing some sandbag workouts, work on your dry fire with an elevated heart rate, and just be diligent and disciplined about your dry fire, because that's going to help quite a bit. And that's where a lot of my improvement needs to come from. The other side of things is the pistol shooting. So my pistol shooting actually wasn't too bad. My pistol shooting was actually better than my rifle. On the first stage, you're shooting at the same distance with rifle as you are pistol, and I had more hits with the pistol than I did rifle, and the targets were about the same size. So no excuse there for how poorly I shot the rifle. Now, I will say my delta point has lost 0 twice since I've had this gun set up, and over the 2 matches I've competed with it. And then when I say lose 0, it's like off paper. And I think that was the case with when I started shooting it during the match. So as I mentioned, during tune-up, I had to re-zero this. Someone bumped my gun and fell over. My 0 was lost. But I started to notice I had to hold higher and higher on that first stage with my delta point. So all that to say, I've got to figure out what's going on with that. Maybe I'm gonna have to get a new optic. So the other side of the tactical games that is part of your score is the fitness side of things. So what to work on with fitness? I obviously have a lot I need to work on, but most importantly, if I had to simplify it as best I could, work on high intensity interval training. So that just means doing very explosive fast movements under weight for rounds. That's about as simple as I can make it. So I wouldn't focus too much on the distance run, even though there's always going to be a long distance run stage. Just be comfortable with it. Do it once a week or so, just so you're not at the bottom of the pack. This is just my personal opinion on this. Obviously, the top competitors are going to be placing, top 3 in every stage. For me, if I'm placing top 25% of the run, I'm going to be very happy because I can make up ground in other areas. And I also hate running. The other things you need to work on is kind of CrossFit specific movement. So you have rope climbs, which are very CrossFit specific. You don't have to be very strong upper body to be good at the rope climb. I'm not the weakest person upper body wise. I can do 30 to 35 pull-ups dead hang straight, and I can't get up the rope. I just don't have the technique. I haven't done a rope since 6 to 8 years ago in the military. So getting up the rope once, I was actually pretty proud of myself. So work on stuff like that. Work on sandbags. Sandbags are definitely, obviously we do more sandbag movements than anything else. And then also the next big thing is farmer carries. So what tactical games like to do is get your grip really under duress, have your hands not work all that well, then have to shoot with like that. So if you got a good strong grip, you're gonna be well set up for the tactical games. With all that being said, with the fitness, what tactical games does really well is they set up stages and kind of make up movements so that you experience something you've never experienced before when you come to a match. So it's really hard to train specifically for a stage in tactical games, or kind of game the game, so like kind of practice a certain movement so when you experience it in a match you'll be good at it. That's really difficult to do because tactical games will have this equipment that's all functional fitness oriented. So it's not like I'm really good at bodybuilding or powerlifting. I can move a barbell really well and use really good technique and leverage to move heavier weights. You don't really have that when it comes to moving stuff like sandbags and dragging a sled. So again, just working on that high intensity interval training with just weights like sandbags is going to be very, very helpful for getting ready for tactical games. So overall, I'm gonna give my final opinions on the tactical games. First and foremost, so I've been training for this for about 4 to 5 months now at this point. I've competed in 2 matches. So we had the team match in Texas and then the individual match in Idaho. And then Jacob Hepner and Nick, the guy who kind of owns the tactical games, came out and did a match for us here at T.REX about a year ago. So that's kind of the first taste of things. What I would like to say about tactical games is it's awesome. I absolutely love it. This is the most fun I've ever had competing doing anything. I just love the balance of skills that are that you have to have when you come to the games. You can't just be a good shooter. You can't just be good at fitness. You can't just be good precision shooter. You need to be good at a bunch of different things, and including inside the fitness thing. You can't just be strong. You can't just be fast. You can't just be flexible. You need to be good at, again, all of these things to be competitive in the sport. And that's what I really, really appreciate about the tactical games. The second side of things with tactical games that's awesome is the people that you meet there. So I've met 10 to 20 people that are probably going to be friends for a very long time, just in the couple, 4 days that I was at these events, and that is something I really appreciate. And it's the type of people that you can just leave all your kit laying out in the middle of the floor and no one's going to touch it. People that are at these matches are there to help you win. It's not like they're there to try and beat you. It's just everyone's there to help each other out. And you want to talk about community, the tactical games has community nailed down pretty well. The next thing I want to mention is something I've kind of already addressed, and that is how difficult the tactical games is. Now, granted, I'm competing in the tactical division. The tactical and elite division generally have things called gatekeepers, and what they mean by that is there's going to be movements that you have to do, and if you can't do them, you're basically going to get a 0 on the stage. The intermediate division and the team divisions don't have as much of that, and the weights are a lot less. But if the tactical games is not like other shooting sports. So if you just show up and not prepare for it whatsoever, you're probably not going to be able to finish majority of the stages. So this is definitely something you have to train for. It's not, again, like USPSA where you can show up with an iron sight Glock and just get through it. You'll probably, finish at the bottom of the pack or anything. The tactical games, you probably just won't even be able to do the stages. The tactical games is also growing extremely fast. So this sport's only been alive for a couple years, and now, a couple years into this, we are month 4, month 5 into the year, and the season is almost completely sold out. And these matches are not cheap. So this is one of the cons to tactical games. It's something that you're considering training for, is that this is very, very expensive, especially compared to other shooting sports. I'm not talking about the equipment, I'm talking about the price for registration and just getting to the events and that sort of thing. So you're looking at about $380 a person to register. And if you're a team and you register together, you get a little discount, but you're gonna be around $600. That's very, very expensive for a match. Comparatively, USPSA is generally 20 to 25 bucks. And if you're looking at regionals or nationals or state championships in USPSA, you might get up to 100 bucks, maybe a little bit more. With that being said, that's just registration fee. And these matches are all over the country. And if you're trying to compete to qualify for nationals, you need to go to a regional, and there's not that many of them. And again, they're probably not going to be local to you. So we're looking at matches all the way out west, all the way to the East Coast, all the way to the north, and you only get a couple chances at qualifying for nationals. So you're going to have to get a plane ticket, you're going to need to get lodging, and then everything in between to get to these matches. So just to be clear, if you're bringing all of the ammo, which you need 250 rifle and pistol, paying for your registration fee, getting lodging and airfare, you're looking between $1,500 to $2,000 over a weekend to compete in the tactical games, and that's not even counting food. So just keep that in mind. This sport is expensive. As I mentioned earlier, T.REX Arms is sponsoring the tactical games. So just to be clear, T.REX Arms paid for me to go to these matches, compete, and we also gave the tactical games money for the banners and to give prizes and stuff like that. So the reason why that T.REX Arms sponsors the tactical games is we value competition heavily. So the tactical games, again, kind of like I mentioned already, evaluates the competitors on a number of different things. So when it comes to a shooting sport, this is where tactical games is unique, is involving the fitness side of things. And here at T.REX, this is something we value quite a bit. We want people to not only be good shooters, but be in good shape and be a well-rounded, prepared citizen so that you can defend life and extend liberty well. I mentioned earlier in this video that we're going to do an Armory YouTube channel going over all of the kit. I'm gonna go over the clothes I wore, the shoes I wore, even talk about some nutrition stuff. So if you guys wanna check that out, there's gonna be a link in the description to that Armory YouTube channel. So other than that, guys, I hope you guys enjoyed this. I had a total blast competing. Again, like I said, I love the tactical games. I will be continuing to compete in the tactical games throughout the season, still trying to qualify for the nationals. So I hope to see some of you guys out at one of these matches. So until next time, guys, this is Brandon at T.REX.